Young Bucks return at AEW Dynasty, attacks Swerve Strickland. Samoa Joe, his former opponent, ran down to help Strickland defeat the interfering Death Riders, who had earlier in the evening defended their trio's championship, in an attempt to duplicate his victory against Moxley, which he had achieved at last year's Dynasty. In the seconds before that, Moxley attempted to hit his opponent with a steel chair after the fight had been moved outside the ring. Instead, he struck the referee, and because there was no one to supervise the fight, it became chaotic. Hangman Adam Page seemed to line up Strickland for the buckshot lariat as he down the ramp and stood on the ring apron. His focus then shifted to Moxley, and he seemed unsure of what to do. This pause allowed Wheeler Yuta, Pac, and Claudio Castagnoli to make their presence known while also eliminating Page from the discussion. To level the odds, Joe then showed up with Hook and Katsuyori Shibata, fighting alongside Page and the Death Riders to clear the ringside area. Change is one of the few things that is consistent in professional wrestling. Performers like Sting, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, Matt Hardy, and Chris Jericho are frequently praised for their ability to update their roles when necessary to keep up with the rapidly evolving entertainment industry, stay relevant, and appeal to a constantly amused audience. That may sometimes be a little change in demeanor, like as going from babyface to heel. The modifications may be considerably more significant at other times, such as a new appearance, a new moniker, new music, joining a faction or tag team, and much more. Even though All Elite Wrestling has only just celebrated its 5th anniversary, several of its wrestlers have changed significantly since we first saw them. But in most situations, this can only be seen as a good thing since it might be dull to remain the same, even for a relatively short period of 5 years. From starting out without a television deal to launching AEW Dynamite, adding Rampage and Collision, and, of course, expanding from the days of recurring shows in Jacksonville, Florida, to enjoying the enormous success of All and Across the Pond in London, England at Wembley Stadium in August 2023, the promotion itself has seen its share of change. It will be intriguing to see how the business and its employees develop going ahead. But for the time being, let's examine 5 wrestlers who have changed significantly since making their wrestling promotion debuts under Tony Khan. On the now-defunct YouTube show, AEW Dark, Max Caster made his AEW debut in a trios match with Luther and Serpentico, losing to Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Marco Stunt. He would only wrestle once more in a Dark loss to Shawn Spears, before joining Anthony Bowens and being dubbed the Acclaimed. That change helped Caster and Bowens, and eventually Billy Gunn, reach the success they have since enjoyed in the organization. Aside from the obvious difference that will always be associated with wrestling during the pandemic, the most noticeable visual change since Caster's initial appearances is that he began wearing headphones and actually plugged in his microphone to rap. He had a mustache and wore a corded microphone around his neck in those early days, but his recognizable silver and pink appearance was there from the start. It's no accident that Jamie Hayter's appearance when she made her AEW debut in October 2019 was similar to that of current WWE SmackDown talent Blair Davenport. For the remainder of 2019 and the beginning of 2020, the two wrestled together in Stardom and Revolution Pro Wrestling as members of the Ito Tai Group. Hayter's debut match on AEW Dynamite ended in a defeat against Dr. Britt Baker DMD. 2 weeks later, she would return to the game, teaming with Emi Sakura in a victory over the Riho and Shauna duo before leaving Japan. Prior to the pandemic ending that, she was expected to remain associated with AEW. Hayter wouldn't be seen in AEW again until August 2021, when she formally joined with the organization and associated herself with Baker, with blonde hair and an all-black outfit appropriate for a surprise pro wrestling run-in. Days after Thunder Rosa gave up her claim because of injury, she would go on to win the interim AEW Women's World Championship at Full Gear in 2022, with the interim tag taken off. Hayter would go on to win the championship for 190 days till Toni Storm defeated her at Double or Nothing 2023. In what would be Cargill's last fight for AEW, Statlander would defend the title against him in an edition of Rampage in September 2023, giving Statlander the only 2 defeats Cargill had suffered in the organization. before losing the TBS championship to Julia Hart in a three-way match at Full Gear that also included Sky Blue. Statlander held the title for 174 days. Statlander is still in the TBS championship picture today, with both feet firmly planted right here on Earth. She is informally allied with the current champion Willow Nightingale and often interacts with Hart, Blue, and Mercedes Moné. For shock value, the conclusion was a car collision theater. That may provide some amusement. Additionally, it may result in a lot of eye-rolling. Responses will differ. It smells, in my view. People are being pushed into Moxley's PPV main events by AEW. It was Christian Cage the last time. It's the Young Bucks this time. The match itself is rendered useless by the amount of additional. Sitting through weeks of preparation and a drawn-out match with no conclusion to that chapter in the world title's broader narrative is disappointing. That surprise about the Young Bucks didn't work out for me. I have a suspicion that it is the so-called long-term narrative that was ignored months ago. People weren't demanding a quarrel between Swerve and the Young Bucks, particularly since Swerve is single. Does AEW's role as Swerve's odd companion reenact Hangman's drama with the Jacksons? One possible advantage is the interesting possibility of Swerve and Hangman working together. It's intriguing that the Bucks are still in second place. Well done to AEW for not forcing a redemption turn, since it would be difficult to make them seem bad in a flash. Three-way fight. More than half an hour of continuous activity. Bayley kicked the match to a crane location. He had knee injuries and the agony continued to worsen. Speedball stood on one leg, while Ricochet regarded him. Bayley seemed to be in trouble. A face-kicking crane. Bayley trailed behind for the knee drop, flipping Ultima weapon. Suddenly, Omega unleashed a V-trigger to break the pin. It seems like Swerve and Hangman will pair up against the Young Bucks at some point, maybe even at Double or Nothing, based on the pay-per-view's conclusion. This plot trajectory has a lot of unknowns, but one thing is certain. The Young Bucks are back with unresolved business. Kenny Omega, the AEW International Champion, is their other elite stablemate. Earlier in the evening, he maintained the championship by defeating Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey.